So let's see single parts of the domus, starting from the exterior of the house that normally was quite close to the street and plain. So entering through the front door, there was a long narrow hallway leading from the front into the atrium, as you can see in the plan too. Vestibulum, V is for vestibulum, also called the Fauci's throat, meaning throat. So the rooms on either side had separate doorways opening to the street and did not communicate with the rest of the house. So some doorways, some vestibulum were adorned with wall paintings. One particularly noticeable is at the entrance of an enormous house in Pompeii of wealthy merchants named the Vetti, the House of the Vetti, depicting the fertility god, as you can see in the picture here, called Priapus, graphically demonstrating the value of abundance within. The floor of the vestibulum, many times, contain mosaic with messages for the visitors, such as greeting, as salve, for example, or welcome money, as the one in the picture, salve lucrum, or some warnings to would-be thieves. So, for example, beware the dog. This could be written or depicted, as in this mosaic that you can see, with a watchdog that would protect the family from unwelcome visitors. Then the atrium. So the atrium, we said, was then in this final phase of Roman domus, a large airy room lighted by an opening in the roof, as you can see in this picture up here. And it was the formal room, the public room, where guests were received and the clients assembled to wait for their usual meeting in the morning with their patron. But it was also a room for family occasions. On either side of the atrium, there were small rooms called the cubicola, used for various purposes. Beyond these small rooms, the atrium frequently opened out into wings. We already described them, called ale. Then the impluvium, this part here, on the floor, had the practical purpose at the beginning to collect water, but also then later was used to add greatly attractiveness of the room. Often the walls of the atrium were adorned with wall paintings, sometimes simple color panels, as this one that you can see on the top, but more often with graceful patterns as mythological motifs, like this image that you have on the bottom of Cupids playing hide and seek. Then the cubiculum, see this in the plan with letter C. Cubiculum, plural cubicola, were small rooms used for a number of purposes. On the upper story and the interior of the house, they often function as bedrooms, while the small rooms of the atrium may have been used for private meetings, as libraries, and etc. While the bedroom above, this one in the picture above, from the villa at Bosco Reale, has wonderfully detailed wall paintings designed to make the room appearing more open and spacious. Many cubicola were decorated more simply, as you can imagine. Bedrooms were often furnished with no more than a sleeping couch and a small chest. We can see here in Ercolanum a carbonized wooden chest found in an upper story of a house. And at first glance we can see a cross above it, but this was not a cross, but probably a device for suspending another chest from the wall. Then the kitchen, the culina, was usually small and dark and poorly ventilated, and relegated to an obscure corner of the house, because wealthy women called matrone did not prepare meals. That was the job of numerous household slaves, and so did not matter if it was hot and smoky. They used to bake in ovens, and on top, the tops of them were used, as you can see in this picture, to keep dishes warm. Then embers from the oven could be placed below metal braziers for a form of stovetop cooking. Some braziers were very much elaborated, decorated, as we can see in the following slide. So this one coming from Chiusi. Then you can see slave preparing a meal, again an oven, and then pots. The tablinum. So the tablinum is this one with letters TA, directly behind the atrium, and was a room open on both sides, as we can see in the pictures here, but could be closed with curtains or folding doors, such this one on the left, Lerid style wooden door, or this on the right with folding panels, as preserved in Herculaneum, incredibly being in wood. So the Roman door, the Roman domus, was typically designed so that anyone standing in the vestibule, so here, could see straight through the atrium and the tablinum to the colonnade garden behind, so having a very impressive vista. In this room, so in the tablinum, the family normally records were stored in boxes like this, and these boxes were for containing family finances. Here also, the families would display images, and busts of famous ancestors, and in this room too, the master of the house, the pater familias, would greet his many clients on their morning visits. The tablinum often had attractive mosaic floors and wall paintings. The triclinium was named after the three couches you can see in this picture above. So 3 is 3, clinum is couch. Typically found these 3 couches in the dining rooms of upper-class Romans. The lectus, or couch, was an all-purpose piece of furniture, as you can see in this picture at the bottom. Usually, here below, usually made of wood with bronze adornments, and the open bottom was crisscrossed with leather straps, which supported cushions. Then different sizes and shapes of these lecti were used for sleeping or for conversing or dining in the triclinium. So a chair with a back, as you can see in this picture above, called cathedra, was considered suitable only for women or old men. Dining couches, though, were wide, for each couch held normally 3 diners, who reclined on their left side, resting on large cushions, while slaves served them multi-course meals. Dining rooms, the triclinia, like other rooms in the Roman house, often had beautifully painted walls. So this is a graphic from this article of Peter Foss called Age, Gender and Status Divisions at Mealtimes in Roman House. In this diagram you can see how the diners were reclining in their couches, so all facing each other, and the central table called the mensa. So the peristelium, signed with letter P, instead of surrounding their houses with large gardens, the Romans created their gardens inside their houses, their domus. This was called the peristelium, so being an open courtyard within the house. The columns surrounding the garden supported, as you can see in the pictures, a shady roofed portico whose inner walls were often embellished with elaborate wall paintings. This is a very famous one, Venus in the Shelf, given the name to a house in Pompeii. So sometimes in this garden there was the lararium, the shrine for the gods of the household, or sometimes it was in the atrium. So the garden, the peristelium, might contain flowers, shrubs, then fountains, sculptures, and even fish ponds. The exedra, you can see here with E in the plan, was a large, elegant room, usually located off the peristyle garden. It was used for formal entertainments or lavish dinner parties. The wall paintings in this type of room often continue the garden theme, as this mosaic floor, and in the middle we have Selene, the goddess of moon, falling in love with the sleeping Endymion, this handsome young shepherd. Then here you can see a painting with a garden, so continuing the garden theme. Then the taberne. The taberne were shops, so even wealthy Romans often rented out the front rooms of their houses as shops. These rooms had separate doors open onto the streets, as we said before, and did not connect with the rest of the house. So, for example, here you can see a house with the exterior shops in Ercolanum. So, here you have a view of a shop and a wine shop at the opposite sides of the entrance of a domus. So the door of the house opened into a long corridor, as we have seen, the vestibulum, that led into the atrium. This was so long, and there were the shops too on either side, for creating a buffer from the noise and smell of the street. By the time also, at least in the capital or in large cities, shortage of land and the need to accommodate an increasing population had begun to lead to the construction of tenement blocks, rising to several stories. These blocks were called insulae. Here you can see reconstruction and axonometry. Before the end of the Republic, in Rome and other cities, only the wealthy could afford to live in private houses. The greater part of the city population lived in apartment buildings and tenement houses. So we said these were called insulae. This name originally was applied to blocks, islands inside the city. They were sometimes 6 or 7 stories high, but the first Emperor Augustus limited their height to 70 feet, and Nero, after the Great Fire happened during his rule in 64 CE, set a limit of 60 feet. They were frequently built poorly and cheaply for speculations, and the poet Juvenal speaks of the great danger of fire and collapse of these structures. So, except for the lack of glass in the windows, they must have looked like modern buildings of the sort. Outside rooms were lighted by windows. There were sometimes balconies overhanging the street, and these balconies, like the windows, could be closed by wooden shutters. The inner rooms were lighted by courts that were in the center of the blocks, and the apartments were sometimes divided, the blocks were sometimes divided in apartments of several rooms, but sometimes these apartments were made of single rooms. So we found these blocks, for example, in Ostia, so the port of Rome, where we can see that each of the upper apartments has its own stairway. The ground floors of these blocks were occupied by shops. Then there was a superintendent of the building who looked after it and collected the rents. So was usually a slave of the owner and was called the insularius. Okay, so the next video will be on country villas.